5 years ago this week, on November 21st, 2015, the story of Taichi, Yamato, Sora, and the rest of the original Digidestined continued with the release of Digimon Adventure Tri Part 1 Reunion, the first of a 6-part movie series or a 26-episode television series. The anticipation and arrival of Tri was magical. This franchise and these characters that had sat dormant in the back of so many of our minds, like old friends from childhood, suddenly shot back to the front page of our Crunchyroll home screens and YouTube recommended feeds. That 2015 rendition of Butterfly, the one with the new guitar outro and more modern drums, signaled maturity and modernism from these characters we hadn't seen since 2002. Taichi and friends were shown to us in these preview images, much taller, more stylized, rocking these amazing new fashion looks. The gang was in the back half of high school and inching towards adulthood like so many of us had already. Digimon Adventure Tri arrived at a special time in my life, and my relationship to it is a special one, I feel. I was attending university and living with a bunch of new friends in a 5-bedroom apartment. One day, one of us came home and shared their excitement about a Digimon continuation and was surprised to learn the other roommates didn't just say, "Oh, cool man, I'm happy for you." Instead, we were all super excited about this news. It turned out that all of us were Digimon fans from back in the day. We loved the show, the characters, we had our Digivice toys, but we never thought to bring it up with our fellow roommates. We weren't hiding our love for the series or anything like that. It's just that nobody was talking about Digimon in the 2010s, not until Tri showed up anyway. When November 21st, 2015 came around, we all watched the first new Digimon Adventure film in over 10 years, losing our minds seeing our favorite characters all grown up, teasing new relationships, lending evidence to existing ships, sporting new outfits, being in situations we'd been through in our real lives. Something to consider. When I watched Digimon, Tai and his friends who were around age 11, they were the older kids compared to me. Now, I was in my early 20s watching these guys navigate high school and go through all the anxieties and joys of adolescence the same way I had. It was kinda cool to flip the script. The movie was not perfect, and there are a million valid criticisms to hold against Tri as a series, but those premiere parties in my apartment were just magical. Then came the English dub, which came to theaters here in Canada, and I got to watch the movie again in a theater full of Digimon superfans as we all cheered hearing the voices like Joshua Seth as Tai reprising his iconic role. Don't even get me started the first time Thomas Fon, the voice of Agumon, exclaimed, "Hey, Tai!" Again, just absolutely magical stuff. 3 years later, movie 6 was coming out and I had graduated university. I went on a graduation trip to Tokyo with some friends and we happened to be in town the same week Digimon Tri movie 6 came out. We couldn't understand a word of the exposition about homeostasis and Yggdrasil and reboots. Not that English subtitles would have helped us understand the plot anyways, but we got the general sentiment, and seeing the film in theaters in Japan was just the coolest experience ever. I kept thinking that if you took the kid who saw the Digimon movie from 2000, with the Angela Anaconda short at the beginning, and told that kid, hey, in 18 years, you're going to be watching a new Digimon movie in a theater in Japan, that kid's brain would have just imploded. And again, Tri was not perfect. It set up a lot of pins and knocked down a few, but left a lot standing. Dark Genai, Yggdrasil, all the 02 kid stuff, Taichi's PTSD, I think that compared to something like Last Evolution Kizuna that was allowed to be a singular Digimon story, Tri being 6 movies suffered from needing to always leave the viewer anticipating the next movie. This meant that the films often felt unresolved or left us scratching our heads. The thing is, it's okay to leave the viewer scratching their head for 1 week until the next episode, but when your product isn't returning for another 6 months, 8 months between movie 5 and 6, mind you, it's hard to stay invested with a substantial lack of information or clarity. By movie 4, those magical viewing parties weren't really happening anymore in my apartment. I was still watching, but my roommates kind of phased out. Fewer and fewer friends were getting hyped by the trailers, and the folks I found online talking about Tri on Reddit and YouTube were becoming more and more frustrated with the series. Releasing Tri in chunks was an interesting experiment, but I think it ultimately was not for the best. Viewers burned out and lost interest, and it took 3 years for 26 episodes to release. Part of the reason it's so hard to believe Digimon Tri is 5 years old is because movie 6 released only 2 years ago. I personally feel that movie 6 was a strong ending, and don't worry, I rewatched it in English after seeing it in the Japanese theater so that I could understand the dialogue. But I understand why people find themselves upset with Tri as a whole. But the thing is, I just can't find it in myself to be upset by Digimon Adventure Tri. It's the series that reignited Digimon for me, but also for the wider pop culture world. Digimon is for all intents and purposes back in 2020, and I truly don't believe we'd be where we were without Tri reigniting the flame. The ticket sales, the merchandise, the international hype for Tri, it clearly sent a message to the IP holders that people do care about Digimon. Games started getting localized and released outside of Japan again, a new trading card game just made its way to the West, and of course we now have the incredibly strong Last Evolution Kizuna and the super promising Digimon Adventure 2020 TV reboot. Digimon Adventure Tri walked so that Kizuna could run and so that Adventure 2020 can soar. Try's not perfect, but no Digimon series really is. I dare you to go back and watch Adventure 99 and with an honest face tell me it's not without its flaws. What we love about Digimon isn't the plot or the scripts. It was never about that. It's about the human characters, their monsters, the bonds between them, and the memories we attach to Digimon that makes us love it. Digimon Adventure 02 is important to me because I remember running around my backyard with my friend Chris, both wearing ski goggles like a bunch of dummies. Digimon Adventure Try is special to me because I got to crack open beers and scream with my roommates when Omegamon fought Alphamon in my living room back in 2015. I fell in love with Digimon Cyber Sleuth when I played it in 2017. I teared up multiple times throughout Kizuna when I saw these characters from my childhood wrestle with finding a purpose in life just like I did a few years prior. I connected with literally thousands of you viewers watching this channel because I was interested enough in Adventure 2020 to take a crack at reviewing the show weekly here on YouTube. If Try didn't happen, Digimon would have remained in my past. I wouldn't have played Cyber Sleuth, I wouldn't have bothered with Kizuna, and I would have wrote off Adventure 2020 as a kid show. These are just a few of the comments that you left on my most recent community post about your thoughts on Digimon Adventure Try. I figured I'd include a bunch of yours as well. The slice of life and drama is what made Digimon great to me, especially when the Digivolutions were more used as a way to show the human characters mature rather than being generic shonen power-up with the power of friendship nonsense. People like to talk about its flaws but never where it excels. There's good and bad to everything, even the original series, but as far as sequels go, it added a lot to the overall lore, so I enjoyed it. It definitely has a place in the franchise. Digimon Adventure Try was pretty good to me, and it was exciting seeing the Adventure kids back grown up so we can grow up with them and see the experiences that some of us have went through. Try is not exactly a great series, but it's still very important to me. I teared up watching part 1 and part 3 after all. I was 18 by the time Try finally came out, and I'd spent a bit as a very hyped 17-year-old dealing with Tai being my age prior to the release of part 1. Try got me back into Digimon, of course, but the way it hit me is hard to describe. It felt like Adventure grew up with me and was coming back for me. I still appreciate it to this day for all the things it did. Its success also brought us Kizuna and the reboot anime, both of which are amazing. I'm never going to tell someone they're not allowed to be angry at Try or to share their opinions on pitches on how to improve it. You can head to the comments and you can tell me why you don't like it, but I will just never have it in me to hate on Try. It did so much for me, for us, for Digimon. I hope that I've explained well enough why I feel that is in this little retrospective essay. But also, they should have put the 02 kids in the movies or not shown their silhouettes at all. Okay, bye.